guns, I like the way they look. I like the shiny steel and the polished wood. I don't care if they're big or small, if they're for sale, well, hell, I want them all. I like guns, I like guns, I like guns. Well, I really like 22 mag, 45 lever with the Winchester tag. I like my double barrel, had it most of my life. 357 was a present from my wife. I like guns, I like the way they look. I like the shiny steel and the polished wood. I don't care if they're big or small, they're for sale, hell, I want them all. I like guns, I like guns, I like guns. All the fuss, why they're trying to take the guns off of us. 'Cause I ain't gonna shoot anyone, and no one shoots at me, 'cause I got a gun. I like guns, I like the way they look. I like the shiny steel and the polished wood. I don't care if they're big or small, they're for sale, well, hell, I want them all. I like guns, I like guns, I like guns. God made the trees, God made you, well, hell, he even made me. He gave me this voice so I could be a singer. So you tell me why I've got a trigger finger. I like guns, I like the way they look. I like the shiny steel and the polished wood. I don't care if they're big or small, they're for sale, well, hell, I want them all. I like guns, I like guns, I like guns. I like guns, I like guns, I like guns.
And welcome to Cold War Radio, ladies and gentlemen, live on WHBJ. Digital talk coming to you from beside the river in the Allegheny National Forest studio of WHBJ. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., standing guard. Let's welcome from the north, and I mean the north. Let's welcome Radio Norway to the program. Come in, please.
Good evening, Hutch, and good evening to our lovely audience. Yes, it's definitely in the north, almost a midnight sun here. The sun is actually rising right now, and it's 2:05 a.m., and if your name is Alexandria La Cucaracha Ocasio-Cortez, no need for abortion from the so-called Democratic Party. Miss Cortez's IQ test just came back negative.
Yes, it did. I'll tell you, that last show, I envy that guy. I don't know if you heard it, but that guy's got a staff, man. He's got like 20 guys working. I don't see how they do that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please follow me on Spreaker. The email is scrtv@live.com. Cold War Radio patron hotline is 412-206-6208. You'll need that if you want to participate in the party line later. If you want to catch the show after the live broadcast, go to the 405media.com, iHeartRadio, the Cold War Radio app, which is free in your app store, and you can go to iTunes and just about anywhere that podcasts are provided, we are there for sure. You can also go to YouTube, which gives you the benefit of transcription. It's all has captions and everything. So if you know anybody that has trouble hearing, I mean, there's a good way to check it out. On Twitter, use the hashtag Cold War Radio to connect with other listeners, and please go to steelcityresistance.com where you can catch the research room. More importantly, become a Cold War Radio patron. You can also subscribe on Subscribestar. And it's all in the chat room there for anyone who needs anything, if you have any questions during the program, especially if you're new, talk to Rocky in there. He's running the show, and he knows what's going on. You can go to the video page where there's no clips tonight, but normally we have most of the video clips from the audio clips that we take from the interwebs. If you want to write to the program, you can write to Cold War Radio at P.O. Box 96022, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15226. Cold War Radio. Dials, buttons, man. There we go. Got most of it in there anyway. Wow, I'll tell you, this show almost didn't happen. I'm at Camp Vienna, and I took my wife out for dinner, and I think it took us an hour and a half to get out of that place. They screwed our order up so bad. Wow, I didn't. I made it though. I did. I made it. I'm pretty impressed by that. I didn't think I was going to, but I tried my best, and we got there. I want to give a shout out. She's in the chat room too. I want to give a shout out to Valerie Z. You heard her last night on the Black Patriot Show with Roderick Threets. Good job, Valerie. I just wanted to let everybody know. If you didn't hear it, go over to, I guess it's blackpatriot.com. Go ahead and Google it, and you'll find it. I think that's what it is, though. Pretty easy place. But good show, Norway.
Yeah, I've been horizontally busy the past few days, and I was planning to listen to that, but so far I've only gotten to to catch up with Wednesday's Cold War Radio. But I will listen to it definitely. I mean, Valerie, our staunch Cold War Radio supporter, Patreon, she is extremely clear-minded and a great contributor to this show, giving me tips all the time. And fantastic lady, Valerie, we love you. And I will definitely catch up with your show during the weekend.
And I think I heard it correctly that she's going to be on there. I think it was Wednesday, every Wednesday night.
Wow.
I could be wrong on that, but it sounded like it was going to be a recurring situation. She could tell you all about it in the chat room. And if you're listening to the show and you're not in the chat room, and there were several people like that, I guess. Thanks, Rocky. Appreciate that. Just checking. We got a little bit of combo problem between the continents here. But I wanted to make sure it wasn't coming from here. So, anyway, we heard that Rachel Maddow...
Before we move on, let me just quickly, post a note here that I know there are listeners that go into our Cold War Radio channel to listen to the show, and they don't understand why it isn't live there. But for now, Cold War Radio is running on Spreaker.com/show/WHBJ-DB, and you can catch it on demand later on our Cold War Radio channel.
Good deal, and thank you for saying that. I don't know how to get that word out, because if they're over there, they're not going to hear this, but they will hear it on the podcast, so you're right. And what it is, ladies and gentlemen, is we are about ready to wrap up our feasibility study for WHBJ. I'm torn a little bit. I am. I have some decisions to make, but you can always get the podcast at Cold War Radio. But if you go to Cold War Radio, I'm pretty sure it says that we're on here. I put that right up at the top, so we'll see. I'll go back and review that again. But we're trying to start a live station, and live stations don't have podcasts. At least on Spreaker, they don't. It's 24/7, and that's it. You can broadcast as much as you want. But for instance, in the other room right now, I'm recording this show so I can put it on the podcast after the show, so the bills still get paid. That's the way that works. Spreaker, between iHeart, actually it's not Spreaker, it's iHeart Radio. They pay a pretty big bill for us every year. So it's well over $1,000. to be able to do WHBJ. And in order to keep that, I have to keep the podcast as a podcast on iHeartRadio, and the only way to do that is to record it. But I think we have it figured out. But we did lose a lot of our live audience.
And Ken in the chat room points out that people can just go to steelcityresistance.com, which is, of course, true because steelcityresistance.com is our main hub for everything.
Absolutely. And it is, I mean, and this is the problem with naming websites. It's almost like printing business cards, you know. Things develop, and it's like the website's already there. You don't want to start over, but there it is. That's the initial political show was Steel City Resistance, and then we moved into this Cold War Radio, and then WHBJ. Let's get back to the news here a little bit. I'm just going to quote this. We thought, and we is the Amber Athey of Unfit to Print over at the Daily Caller. I got this. We thought that Rachel Maddow had hit her ratings low after the release of the Mueller report, but it turns out her viewers weren't done fleeing her show. In this week's episode of Unfit to Print, host Amber Athey discusses why Maddow had her lowest ratings of the year last week. How far does she have left to fall? And that's just wonderful news. I mean, you know, you see, I think what we're starting to see is karma. I mean, I know that sounds a little absurd, but, you know, you see the ratings there. She was the highest rated show during her time slot. She was beating Fox News a few times. And now it's a good sign to me that people that were watching her and listening to her, and everybody on that station, Joe Scarborough and Zbigniew Brzezinski's spawn, you know, and they've told you over and over again the lies about the president, and then the Mueller report comes out, and they're like, damn, that wasn't supposed to happen. You know, I think it's excellent. You know, above and beyond that, I read right before the show, I saw a tweet from a guy that was that retweeted a story that Jerry Giles Nadler, this guy, his mother apparently had, the guy that retweeted it, his mother had several strokes. And he says, I know what they look like, and Gerald Nadler just had a stroke. You know, when he was in the middle of a press conference, the story was that he appeared to faint. But this guy said it looked like a stroke.
Yeah, well, it is. I must say, it's difficult to you know, to remote diagnose. But he looked very confused. Of course, confusion can easily happen when people are severely dehydrated. We're talking what we in Norwegian call sunstroke. When you have a sunstroke, I mean, plain dehydration, if your brain is healthy, dehydration normally won't affect you in the way we saw Jerry Nadler affected. So I wouldn't be surprised if he in fact was diagnosed with having had a stroke. The fantastic thing is that the media was closing ranks in about 2 seconds flat that he was dehydrated because.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because I was it De Blasio that said that you look dehydrated, something like that. And of course, that was the main story. But,
sure, because everybody faints when they're dehydrated. You know, you and I were both in the military. We call it heat stroke. It's 100% preventable. I mean, first you go through other things before you get heat stroke. You have heat cramps, and then you stop sweating. You know, it's and one drink of water fixes it. But if you get over that point, the treatment is actually to be submerged in ice water. I've done that too.
Yeah, because you need to bring the body temperature down really fast, lower the blood pressure, and to me, I won't say this definitively, but to me it looked like he just had a stroke.
Well, you know what? The guy, if you know anything about Jerry Nadler, you hear me call him Jerry Jowls Nadler. That's because he used to weigh about 600 pounds. And he must have went to the same doctor that Al Sharpton went to. All of a sudden, he's skinny. I mean, he never looked like that before. And he's got some stress going on because the president pretty much called him out the other day and basically said, I've been beating you in New York City for years. I'm going to beat you again. It's everything's falling apart, man. Nancy Pelosi looks delusional. She looks like a dementia patient. And Regina, in the chat room the other night, we were talking about it. I had a story. I think it had to be during the show because I was talking about it. But about her gesticulation. She gets up there and her arms are flailing around. And Regina said they probably told her to do that so you won't see her shaking. And I'm thinking that's pretty smart.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on, but all these guys seem really over the hill to me, and it's no secret that there is an enormous pressure within the party from the Nazi wing and the communist wing. There is definitely a battle between the young and the old guard in the party, and I'm sure that these old timers, they're feeling a tremendous pressure from the younger Marxist guard now marching up the aisle.
That's a scary thing too. It really is. It's that we have that many of those people is. I mean, I saw a poll that something like 4 in 10 younger people have. It didn't even say younger people. It said had positive thoughts about socialism. When you hear that, it's just like, how can this happen? And how it happens. It happens because, and Roderick was talking about this last night. They're being taught, actually Valerie was talking, one of them two was, about they're being taught and bombarded that America is not good. They're not being taught the true history of it. Of our country, and how there hasn't been. I don't want to sit here and talk all selfishly or anything like that, but to gloat. But if you look at everything that America has provided to the rest of the world, there's no way that you can look at it and say we're bad. I mean. Just physical things, medical things, scientific. And I know there's a lot of great people all over the world, but we do have a pretty large percentage of accomplishments, not to mention our governance and our freedom. And to see these young people infected with this evil lie and lies about the founding fathers are just racist white guys and we stole the land from the Indians, we should give it back to them. Pound sand, pal. We fought back against the Indians. But I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but it is an extremely important point. It is an extremely important point. And one of our stories tonight, which I hope we will have time to go through, is that a new textbook, a new history textbook, advanced placement course textbook on history, implies that Christians are bigots and Reagan was a racist. And it is, it is what the elite, what the most clever kids in school are being force-fed with. And it is like, while we are, well, at least Americans in general, I'm not saying on this show, because I feel that on this show we have an audience that is way beyond average of Americans. But when I see ordinary Americans take to social media and discussing various things, their focus is on that little ball that's rolling around in the middle of the field, while
yep, you're right.
While kids are being stolen from Americans. I mean, I'm not kidding here. Kids are being stolen in the millions from Americans, and it's been going on for decades. And this you can blame all you want the Marxists doing this, the Marxist indoctrination machine that has been growing in academia. You can blame them all you want, but in reality, it comes down to complacency on our part. Conservative Americans should have rooted out this abomination decades ago, but instead they've been complacent, and this is where we are now. And the only hope I see for America's future is that Americans take the spoon in their own hand and clear up this mess. Start kicking out these Marxist professors from the universities, a total revision of what is allowed to print in school books. I mean, school books should contain facts, not fiction.
I agree. And not to continue quoting the guy, but what's right is right. Roderick yesterday said that we need to blame the Christians, too. What happened to all the Christians back in the early 1980s when they were taking the religion out of school? Plus a whole lot of other things that happened, but that was one of the most important ones. Before Absolutely. The show, when we opened up the station tonight at 7, I played the Battle Hymn of the Republic performed by the United States Army Chorus. And I asked myself, how long is it going to be until they ban this in the United States Army? It won't be long.
Yeah. It's coming. It is coming. It is coming down the line, and it's coming extremely fast. I mean, when you see 66% of millennials, that is people aged 18 to 34, they don't know what Auschwitz was. 60. I mean, that's two-thirds of millennials don't know what Auschwitz was. How are you going to prevent an Auschwitz in America if you don't know what it was in the first place? 22% of millennials haven't heard of the Holocaust or aren't sure what it was. 22%.
Do you know when they started teaching Pittsburgh Public School elementary students about 9/11? In 2011, 10 years later. 10 years of no talking about it in school.
They probably have they've fixed the narrative by that time, so the narrative falls in favor of the Islamo-fascists that committed this crime.
No question about it. We found out a little information about Pete Buttigieg, Norway. What was his family involved with?
Yeah. I've heard that the last part of his surname is going to should be pronounced Judge. So it's
I don't care.
Judge. No way in hell.
I don't give a damn what that moron's. Today he came out and he does not support the government of Israel. This guy is he's an idiot. Wow. I can't believe he got in the military. Wow. I mean, I got to wonder what this guy did. They make him out to be some kind of war hero, and he doesn't even support our biggest ally. One of our biggest allies.
And I mean, we found out that his father, Joseph Buttigieg, I'm going to say Geeg or Geig or whatever. I'm not calling him any judge, that's for sure. Joseph Buttigieg died in January at the age of 71, and he immigrated to the U.S. in the 1970s from Malta. He was a big fan of the Communist Party, the Italian Communist Party founder Antonio Gramsci, which in turn was an associate of Vladimir Lenin. So this is this Joseph Buttigieg. He is the father of the the presidential hopeful Pete Buttigieg. So here you have a direct line from Vladimir Lenin to Joseph Buttigieg.
Wow.
And of course, Joseph Buttigieg was a professor of Notre Dame, no less.
Wow. So he's Maltese. This guy's Maltese.
He's Maltese.
He can't be the Maltese Falcon. He can't be the Maltese Falcon. We have to maybe we'll call him the Maltese Butterfly. How about that?
Yeah, the Maltese Butterfly. that sounds fine with me. But you know, it is fantastic to see how deep Marxism runs in the Democratic Party, and you so rightfully said that America has contributed greatly to the world, and indeed America has. I mean, in politics, the way the American system is built is, to my estimation, I must admit, it was after high school I started realizing how ingenious it is. But it is really ingenious. But you contributed so much in the fields of technology, science. It is an enormous achievement, and it's been possible because America has a capitalist system. It's a market economy, and that is what has inspired the competition to improve things in America and to bring about all these wonders that the rest of the world is benefited with. So, but I'm telling you this, Hutch, with the degradation of education like we see today, and it's been going on for decades, people are not acquiring knowledge in American institutions of learning anymore. They're acquiring social justice ideas from the Marxists.
And they're showing them right off the bat. Do not question. Do not, and that used to be like the opposite of that used to be the mantra of institutes of higher learning in the United States was always question authority, and that was the whole deal of the 60s. And then they all got in power and got in the media, and they said, "No, we're not going to do that." Sean, I'm going to give you Sean from California is on the line. I'm going to give you an option. You can have a really short call, or you can just stay on the line because we're getting ready to open the party line. What would you like to do?
I'll wait for the party line.
Okay, stay on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, 412-206-6208. We have an interview at 9 p.m., a little different tonight. This guy did not, his people didn't recognize the half hour. It was either 8 or 9, so we went with 9, and Mona straightened that out. So if you want to call in, I'm going to give you 1 minute to see if we're going to have the party line tonight. 412-206-6208. Your chance to talk to the other people in the chat room, the other people that listen. Call in now. Don't wait. If I don't see some names starting to pop up, I got a ton of material to cover. Until they do, Sean, what's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to let you guys know of a big situational crisis happening in Los Angeles. It's really scary, actually. We all know that you've talked about the little infested typhus, right? And well, now that that situation has spun a little more out of control, we all know that Los Angeles is refusing or just saying they're going to, we're going to pick up all the garbage because there's garbage piles from all of these photos I've been seeing pile up, and that draws rats. And then recently I just saw a news report, and I read it to my mom in the car, saying that rat-infested piles of infected fleas of some sort, infected rats, with this kind of disease. I don't remember what it was. I wish I had that article up here, but it was really scary to see that, because when I read what the mayor's response was, get used to it.
Unbelievable. And
and then,
the report I saw was right next to a produce market. An open-air produce market. I'm thinking, oh, boy, this is going to spin out of control.
And, the one thing that I find a little disturbing even more is because I have a couple of college friends, well, ex-college friends. I don't go to college with them or anything like that anymore, but I have a few of those friends still up in Los Angeles now because they moved from this area that I live in, which is Oceanside, California, next to Camp Pendleton, by the way. And they're right in the middle of that hellhole. And it makes me wonder because one of them's Japanese, and they're always I think they're on the student visa program or some crap like that. And it makes me wonder what happens if they take that crap home with them. My God, that would be a global outbreak right there.
This is the pleasures of socialism, Sean, and I would say that given half a chance, California would turn communist overnight. And I would guess that when you have a really strong rat population, like you get when you let things slide like this, is probably typhus. Typhus
that is what it is.
Something that.
Yep, okay. You're right.
Something that goes hand in gloves with huge rat population in proximity with human beings.
Yeah, they were saying it was going to turn into a whole plague outbreak. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's more scarier.
Yeah, well, you have other diseases as well. I mean, rats and the fleas they carry and the diseases they carry have caused way more deaths than all wars in our history combined.
Most of your plagues. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, please call in the party line 412-206-6208. Let me go down the line and welcome Marlene from Oregon, Ken from King George, Valerie Z from Boca Raton, Florida. Anybody else want to call in? Now's the time. Let's open it up. Who called in first? Ken, you did. Go ahead.
You better get Rocky to call in too. Just want to wish everybody a safe Memorial Day weekend, and remember why we actually have this weekend to begin with, to commemorate those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. It's not about veterans this weekend. It's about the ones that actually lost their lives saving our freedoms.
Absolutely. Good point. Good point. And a lot of people, if you look at the history of Memorial Day, after the Civil War, the South and the North had two separate Memorial Days. And then I can't remember if it was Lincoln or after that, but it had to be after that, I guess. But one of the presidents merged it together. It was called, what was it called at first? It was called
Armistice Day?
Yeah, Armistice Day, that's right. Let's say hello to Val. Hi, Val. Good show last night. I mean, for us, it was last night.
Hey, Hutch, thank you. We had some sound problems, but I hope that's going to be fixed.
Oh, you did a good job. I think it was, you did mention something that History B. I thought she'd call up. Come on, History B. But she had a brilliant plan that I'm actually going to talk to my daughter about with my grandson, and that's Rush Limbaugh's series, Rush Revere, giving them to a school child, and they go in and donate it to the classroom library and watch things happen from there. It's pretty hard to teach kids that America sucks when you listen to that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's really good.
Yep. Well, I had to call out History to be on the show.
Outstanding. Marlene, you're up.
Hey there. We got a couple things going on in our little crazy town of Eugene. The U of O's going to raise their tuition again. And I guess the worst case, they're going between 4 and 4.5% or 6.8%. It depends on how much money they get from the state, from the legislative session, and so forth. But I guess, I don't know, in my mind it's like, tuition is high enough. I think all they really want, and this goes back to what you said so many times about the unions. They just want more money for their retirement funds. I really think so. The university people that are 10 years, been there for a zillion years, and they retired, and they just like the PERS, but I think it's a little different for the university. They get all their they just want more money. Just
to let everybody know, feel free to talk to each other. I'm just going to be quiet. Go ahead.
Okay, and yeah, and the other thing was, this is almost comical. I think I mentioned earlier a while back about our, I know it's true in Pittsburgh too, about the gun control bill. Well, they passed one, but it's really, in my mind, it's pretty stupid. All they're doing is they're going to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers and stalkers. Now, how stupid is that? You can't make that up.
There's already there's a federal law about that already. It's called the Lautenberg Amendment.
Okay. Well, that shows you how stupid our legislature is up in Salem. If they have to come up with something like that, I just was cracking up at that. I thought it was funny.
Sean,
speaking of funny,
go ahead.
I did watch Pelosi, and you were telling me to watch her video. Oh my gosh, that woman was drunk off her.
She is gone.
You look at those arms going. You look at those arms going, and I
flapping all over the place.
I grew up around. I grew up around Italian.
There is, of course, the possibility that Hillary was close by and all the flies was getting in her eyes, But,
the flies are buzzing around. What's her name now? Nancy Pelosi. She's next.
I hope so.
Oh man.
I hope so.
Sean, say hi to Ralph from Missouri, Sean.
Hey, Ralph, how you doing?
Yeah, that's Nancy. When Nancy gets rattled, she's like Bill Clinton when he gives speeches. When Clinton used to try to lie about something, like I did not have sex with that woman, he puts his thumb into his first two fingers and holds it up. Nancy does the sock puppet number.
Hey, I think we got a poker player on the line.
She'll shift and she gets really rattled. She'll go over to the left hand and do the same thing, or she holds it up like she's giving a stop sign, or like an Italian mother with what's the matter with you?
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's more than that. I thought that at first, but I've been around a lot of Italians, and that's something's wrong with her. She does stuff that's not.
When she did the speech, she had her hands on the podium, because she was reading from prepared or memorized text. Okay, like Trump, the family needs to do an intervention, yada yada yada, and all that. Then when she got off of that speech and started having to, carry the conversation or field questions from the media, that's when the sock puppet came out.
I got a name for Nancy Pelosi's little disorder. I call it ADHD, attention hyperdeficit disorder. That's how she's flapping her wings all over the place and just losing her mind, only focusing on one thing, or probably multiplying other things. I don't know.
Hey guys, I've got a question for you guys. I got a package today. It's actually sitting by the desk here. I haven't had time to open it yet, but I wonder if any one of you were the contributor to this package.
Not me.
Not me.
I'm broke.
See, that's why Rocky should have called in.
Yeah,
there we go.
Right. You better open that thing soon, Norway, because there's that beef jerky might go bad.
No, that's good.
Who knows? Maybe it's some jelly beans or something. I love jelly beans.
I'll tell you one thing. It took a month to get there. How long did it take? About 3 weeks? I said it a long time ago.
Yeah, let's see.
Wow.
Is it postmarked?
Tracking history. If it's postmarked, yeah, well, it probably is. But I think...
Well, I was asking about sending another package.
It was sent May 8th
There you go.
Pittsburgh, 11:20 a.m.
All right.
Oh,
Wow.
So 14 days it takes to get something, and it's not express mail either. Wow.
But I think actually the most time it used inside Norway. You know, we have this fantastic socialized postal system. So it crossed the Atlantic in 3 days. So the rest of the time it's just been sitting in Oslo.
There, ladies and gentlemen, there is all you need to know about collective government, about socialism and all that. It got out of here, crossed the Atlantic in 3 days. And for the next...
That's pretty quick.
It is. I was impressed.
Really quick. Yeah, that's really good.
Now, I know the Army post office is fast, too. I mean, I used to get things pretty quickly, too, in many places overseas. But wow, there it is. Val, we didn't hear from you for a while.
Oh, well, I was waiting. But, last night I went to a women's Republican group, and we met the new supervisor of elections here in West Palm Beach. They spent millions and millions of dollars on new equipment for the elections. And she went into a really boring 45 minutes of yada-da-da-da-da, what it's going to do. At the end of the day, two of the representatives in Congress stood up and said, well, what are you going to do about illegal voting? What are you going to do about people who have died? She said, well, we have to send that information up to Tallahassee to the main, people in charge of elections. And I'm sitting there thinking, and what good will that do? How long will that take? And the new way to find out who died is they send happy birthday cards for people who are 100 years old. I said, what about the 80-year-olds who died? Right, Marlene? I mean, I was infuriated, and I'm not done with this subject because I'm going to get in touch with her here in West Palm Beach, because what good does it do any of us to get all this equipment, all this nice new election stuff? You can go online, you can pop it in a box, what happens to all the illegal aliens and all the illegal votes? There is really no clear-cut answer.
Well, let's not forget about that California got sued successfully by Judicial Watch. And
Thank God.
News, they were required to get rid of 1 million voters on their registration list across
1.6 million, actually. It was up.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I forgot there was some good news. Judicial Watch is actually, thank you for bringing that up, is actually going to sue us again in California. This time, I hope all the state, from what I've understood, but in order to do this, he asked the Judicial Watch president sent out an email saying that, hey, we're going to make sure that we sue the California state, but we need to make sure that your vote was counted. Could you please check and make sure if it was an absentee ballot or whatever, make sure it was counted. Go to your state government website or whatever and make sure it was counted. If not, we can help you sue or give you some legal advice.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I love it.
I must say, Sean is absolutely fantastic. I've never seen anyone be so enthusiastic about being bombed by the rest of the nation or sued by the rest of the nation. I feel for you, Sean. I know how bad it is, and I think Tom Fitton is doing a fantastic job cleaning up California.
Yeah, I wish we could just clean it out ourselves, but you know what? I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. We Californians are responsible for this mess. Every single one of us, whether we're Democrat or Republican, we became complacent. We went to sleep when everything went to total crap in front of us. This is our fault. This is our fault, ladies.
It's moderator time. Go ahead, Ralph.
No, I was going to say, I was talking to the wife. What I was going to say about all the voting thing is that Missouri, for the longest time, has had paper dot matrix, color in the circle scanners, and you have to use a driver's license, which has a barcode on the back of it, and it checked and double checked by whoever and whatever there when you go into the polling place. And then when you're done, you slide it in the machine scans it, and the nice man gives you a sticker that says, yeah, you voted. And ain't nobody bitched about Missouri doing this.
Right.
There's no voter suppression or anything.
You know,
Right.
I was stunned, Ralph. I went to get my truck serviced a few years ago, and they asked me for my driver's license, and they frickin' swiped it on their computer. I'm going, whoa, what's on that driver's license that I don't know's on there? That you just swiped it.
Everyone, no kidding.
That
So
freaked
my
me out.
God,
Wow.
Yeah,
Never had my
speaking of
driver's license swipe.
they were trying to do that, believe it or not, when I retired out of the service in 95, they were talking about converting the military ID card to an all-in-one thing.
Oh, they
so that
did.
You took your personnel dispersal records and everything with you on coded into the card, and then when you got to your next duty station, you just show them the card and all that, and boom, you're in the system.
I'll tell you something
What
that
a,
they did.
what a fantastic idea. I mean, and then you're captured by the enemy, and they know exactly, and they know all the pressure points.
They know everything about you. And
Gotcha.
so
Gotcha.
much for OPSEC,
Yeah, they call it a common access card.
Yeah, cat card. You're right. You're right.
What do you think about? What do you guys think about Nevada, who's now voted for taking the popular vote of America and giving their electoral votes directly to the popular vote?
What you think?
That was one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. I did see that, and I thought, what in the snot do these people think they're doing?
I think
unconstitutional.
Right. I think it's going to end up at the Supreme Court. What about the delegates? I think that, and this is something that, and I'll be quiet in a minute here, but this is something that is trending, man. The Democrats, I think the best thing that ever happened to us as a nation, especially people like us, is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib and all the rest of them, Ilhan Omar. And do you realize that in Minnesota, Keith Ellison beat up a woman and nothing happened? He came out, she testified, and it's out of the news. The governor of Virginia, out of the news. He admitted he was in blackface.
He's been back in there, Hutch.
No, he's in the news, but the black
Feminism, right? Feminism.
Talking about it a lot. I understand.
Corrupt media, corrupt government of state officials.
Right.
The media tells the Democrats what to do and all that, so they're all working hand in hand with each other.
See, you got it right. A lot of people say it's the other way around, but I think the Democrats are working for the media. I mean,
exactly.
The montages
That too.
It's nuts, man, and half of them. I mean, to call anybody that's as old as I am, that lived through the Clinton administration, was watching it at the time, not a little kid. You had George Stephanopoulos. He ran the crisis room with the women that were accusing Clinton of raping or molesting or whatever, and now he's ABC's top guy. Give me a break.
Well, if you
And
look
you
at,
could be right, maybe.
I think I was born in the Clinton administration.
Okay, if you look at MSNBC, if you look at
college, crazy.
if you look at any host that's on MSLSD, they're all either campaign staffers or some sort of Democrat. I mean, Chris Matthews' wife was running for a Senate seat in Maryland. Fortunately, she lost. But, I mean, they're all shills for the Democrat Party.
Jay Carney worked for Time magazine. I mean, and he had communist things up on his refrigerator. He was the first spokesman for Obama.
And this is unbiased media. Really, come on.
Yeah.
That's animal.
I mean,
I got to.
Go ahead, Sean.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
Well, I had to touch on something that Hutch was talking about earlier, the little college and education system thing. Have you all ever heard of Hillside College? This group that's trying to bring right-wing, views and all this other.
You mean Hillsdale? Hillsdale.
Hillsdale. Yes. Sorry. Hillsdale.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of our not my co-hosts, but when I was with Dupree, one of our co-hosts was a student at Hillsdale College and actually got a little bit of scholarship for being on the show. For being a radio
awesome.
talk show host. I have to get back in touch with him.
They're trying
to remember his name.
They're trying to really push the Constitution and the teachings of history for free now, so that these kids could actually be, instead of left-wing taught,
right,
to right-wing taught.
Norway,
What's
the president's name? Ralph Arndt, I think is his name. He's a big constitutionalist, and he gives a free.
Oh, you mean on Hillsdale?
Yeah.
I believe that's correct.
I think it's Arndt.
I'm not sure, but I'm not sure how Victor Davis Hansen is affiliated with Hillsdale, but I don't know if he's got an engagement there. But he is speaking very often at Hillsdale, so I don't know if he's teaching there or. But it's a great college. I mean, that should be the model of colleges in America, because you can hear both points of view there, not only the Marxist line.
And they're actually located in Michigan. Oof.
Oof.
I pray for them.
Well, if you end up
online courses that push the same thing that they're trying to do in the classrooms, just so you know. And
yeah, and you can actually go there. You can actually go there at limapapa.hillsdale.edu/constitution-101-enroll, and you will be enrolled in a free online Constitution course from Hillsdale College. It's called Constitution 101, and it's delivered via email with one lesson a week for 10 weeks. Each lesson features lively teaching and discussion boards, suggested readings, weekly quizzes, and more. And I was trying to find the guy's name, and it's not on there. I know his last name is Arndt, A-R-N-D-T. But anyway, go ahead, guys. Got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, Larry sounds... Larry sounds...
advertised on about every conservative radio show that I'm aware of. I know Rush talks about him all the time.
Yeah, he does. He's friends with him. He's friends with the president. I'm trying to find a guy's name here, and not having any luck. So go ahead and continue.
Well, anyways, did anybody notice that Mike Pence, our vice president, spoke at Liberty University, gave the commencement speech at Liberty University?
And that was Jerry Falwell. Yeah. And the guy's name, just to clear it up, Larry P. Arnn, A-R-N-N. Larry Arnn has been their president since 2000. So there you go.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
So my wife just graduated from ODU with a master's degree in systems engineering about 2 weeks ago, and she told me that the commencement speaker was going to be Tim Kaine. Oh hell no! I'm not.
What? He's going to wear Antifa. Oh, no. Antifa.
You mean the kid that's college-age kid at the drug has been arrested by the police?
Right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. In the interest of time, I got to roll out of here. We got an interview coming up, so I want to thank everybody for participating, and we'll do it again We're going to figure out. I think we're probably going to do this segment once a week, just because I let it go for a half hour. That's a big chunk of the show. So I'm going to talk to my other co-hosts and figure out when we're going to do it. It's probably going to be. It might be Friday. I don't know. We'll talk about it and let you know.
I thought you were going to do it Sunday, but think about it.
I got to let you go. You can listen on the broadcast. I got to go, everybody. Thanks for calling.
Please touch. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Party Line. This is the only show that I know of that even has something like this. And Norway, I think it's a winner. I mean, where else can you participate like that?
I mean, and you gotta love our callers.
Oh yeah,
what a great bunch of people. I mean, I love you all guys to death. I mean, you are the greatest audience on the planet. By far. I mean, what a fantastic bunch of people, and educated in what's going on around them, and passionately taken by the interest of the future of the United States. Great patriots, everyone. And I agree with you, Hutch. I think this is a fantastic addition to the show and a great winner. And why not Friday? I mean, Friday is the kickback day after a busy week, and get together, chit the chat and what have you not. Fantastic idea.
I think so too. And some of the best ideas just come out of the blue, and that's what happened. It was a little slow on Sunday, and I just decided to do that, and it was like boom, 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 boom. Everybody came in, and it was great. And now I'm seeing new members in the chat room and meeting other people. It's just great, and it's nice to let the audience talk with each other. They chat with each other all during the show.
Absolutely.
Actually,
and you had a caller. You had a caller on Wednesday. A new caller, Steve.
Yeah.
And he was asking. He was asking for me. So, Steve, if you're listening at some point to this show, if we go ahead on next Friday with our party line, please call in and. I'm dead curious about what you were going to ask me about or talk about. So
I'm glad you. I'm so glad you said that, man. I meant to say that right at the beginning of the show, and man, it's been crazy over here, so I forgot. But I'm glad you brought that up. He did mention you a couple times, and that's. I thought that call was very important, man. I talked to him afterwards.
Oh yeah,
and when I hear people that are that upset, it makes me. It doesn't make me concerned like I think they're going to do something, but it just every now and then you have to reground yourself and realize that. I mean, like now I'm saying that now, and I should have said something else when he was on the program, and I didn't. I should have said, "We're on God's side." God's not on our side.
Absolutely.
We're on God's side, and they're not. They are actually against.
It's like while Bill always ends his videos with "America bless God."
Absolutely.
And that is such a great saying, because it really puts things in the right perspective. Namely, that we need to pay our tribute to God and prove to God that we are on God's side, and then God will be on our side subsequently.
Right? How can you go wrong? And I told him that. And the other thing is that what we're for, what we support, and what we say and what we do is the truth, and that is the biggest difference between us and the left. They will not hesitate to lie. They just won't. And you're not going to see that on our end.
Absolutely. And I hope you'll call back, Steve. It was a moving call. I like hearing people that are going to do something. And I'm not talking about a criminal act. I would like everyone listening to this show to get as passionate as I am about America, get fired up and actually do something. And I've said this, I don't know how many times, but I've said this again and again. I believe that each and every one of us can do our bit. And I believe that you have an enormous influence if you get on the horn, if you get on the neck of your elected representative. You can move mountains because you are among the few that will do that. I mean, don't be as complacent as just voting in the next election. Be active in your everyday life. Talk to people, and also keep the feet to the fire of your elected representatives. You can really make a difference there.
Absolutely, and like our guest tonight, Mr. Raynard Jackson, he's the founder and chairman of Black Americans for a Better Future, BAFBF, a federally registered 527 super PAC established to get more blacks involved in the Republican Party. He focuses on the black entrepreneurs. So you talk about a guy, walking the walk. Welcome to the program. Welcome to Cold War Radio, Mr. Raynard Jackson. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., and my co-host is on location in Norway. He's Radio Norway. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I feel so flattered to be in such steep company with you guys.
Well, thank you very much. You're the founder. Okay, I said that already. You're a Pulitzer Prize nominated columnist and president and CEO of Raynard Jackson and Associates, LLC. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, sir.
Yes, I was stunned to get nominated for a Pulitzer, to be honest with you, because they tend to skew extremely liberal, and I'm everything opposite of that. But I'm from St. Louis, a graduate of Oral Roberts University, if you're familiar with that. And so that was a phenomenal training ground for me. But we came up with Black Americans for a Better Future about 7 years ago. And within the black community, the leaders of our community typically are the businessmen. And within our churches, the businessman is typically the head of the deacon board and the chairman of the board of trustees in our churches. So if you get the businessman on your side, he'll bring you the pastor who will bring you the congregation. And that's the value of the businessman. He is the gateway into all things in the black community and the most respected figure within our community. And it's been working. It really has. And I remember I used to do Rush Limbaugh's TV show back in the 90s, and he would always tell me, Raynard, that's a growing trend of conservatism in the black community. I said, Rush, you're full of crap. Blacks have always been conservative. But the problem is that nobody in the conservative movement makes the black community feel welcome within the party and within the conservative movement. So the issues are not the problem. The philosophy is not the problem. It's that we need to do a better job of inviting blacks to join the cause.
You know, I agree with you on that. And I listened to a black pastor, and I can't remember his name right now, I'm embarrassed, from Cleveland, who said that, the black community doesn't want to hear rhetoric and budgetary figures and things like that. They want to see bulldozers.
Right.
They want to see things happening.
Yep.
And I took that to heart when he said that, and I'll think of his name here in a minute. But, the talking doesn't work. It's the action. Now, you are based in Washington, D.C. right now, from what I hear, and also an internationally recognized radio talk show host. So you're among family, my friend.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I used to have a syndicated talk show on XTIM and then on terrestrial before that for about 5 years and won all kind of awards. And believe it or not, Hutch, I kicked Al Sharpton's butt in the ratings, Michael Eric Dyson, a lot of these far-left liberals, I kicked their butts in the rating, and a lot of the owners of some of these stations, they didn't know what to do with a black conservative who could actually bring in the ratings. And so they didn't want to lock me into a long-term deal, so I said I'm not going to go year to year because, as you know, it takes a while to build up an audience and a following, and I was not going to just keep doing it year to year, not knowing whether I was going to have a show or not. So I just walked away.
Good evening, Mr. Raynard Jackson. It's an honor to have you on the show. I'm Radio Norway from Norway, and I'm a great fan of America. And your statement in the beginning here puzzled me a little. Is it really true that conservative America is not welcoming to the black voters?
Yeah, and let me tell you why, since you're over there in Europe. When you say conservative to the black community, what we hear is Strom Thurmond, Jesse Helms, two anti-civil rights senators back from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, 80s. And so a better word would be traditional values, because when you say traditional values to any black, it transports them back to when they were a little kid and they used to sit on their grandmother's knee, and grandmother would tell us about the family history and what's right and what's wrong and values and morals. And so it's almost like, and I hope I don't get in trouble with your audience here, it's almost like walking up to a girl saying, let me F you versus let me make love to you. Now, both of them are the same thing, but I think with making love to a woman, you have better odds by approaching it with that terminology than using the F word. So when you say conservative, a lot of blacks are taken to a place they don't want to remember, but when you say traditional values, they get the message. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, well, it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't, because the way when you see if you compare the Democratic Party to the Republican Party and see what these two respective parties as a whole have done throughout history, Democratic Party with their the Indian death marches, with their slavery, KKK, etc., and you have the Republican Party actually going to war for, among other things, the freedom of the black slaves in the South. So, I mean, isn't this a contortionist's view of reality?
Let me jump in here and try to do this. Just because one of the things that bothers me, Raynard, the most is listening to white. I come from a predominantly white family, and listening to white people trying to, kowtow and things like that. And I think a lot of that is what has happened with the Republican Party and the American black community. A lot of these people have never even associated with black Americans. And I listen to them on radio and television, and I cringe when I hear some of the things they say. Now, the Democrats are worse, but the history is lost. I mean, the Republican Party, the only reason the Republican Party was formed was to defeat the Whigs. And the Whigs were all abolitionists when they talked, but they never did anything, and they wouldn't do anything. And so finally, the Republican Party was formed, and it was formed exclusively to end slavery. And I think that's, I'd like to know your views on how so many millions of people, as Norway said, have been denied the historical facts of what the Republican Party stands for, or at least stood for at the beginning. I know it's morphed into country club Republicans and things like that, but our actual origins are from prior to the Civil War and all about slavery.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Here's the problem with what you accurately state. Number one, Hutch and Norway, a lie that's repeated enough becomes the truth. You have liberals all over TV, radio, newspapers, the speeches constantly saying the Republican Party is the racist party. They don't care about black. And Republicans and conservative guys are horrible, bordering on incompetent when it comes to communication.
You're so right, man. That's a winner.
To that.
Yeah. And that's the problem. What Norway is asking me and what you're saying, Hutch, is about we have the facts on our side, but we are horrible at communicating those facts to the American people. That is the simplest answer I could give you where it would make sense to your audience.
And that's totally right. You're completely 1,000% right. It's one of the hardest things for me because, all right, here you go. Because some of my best friends are black. You know what I mean? It's like I lived with them for years, and I'm listening to these white dudes going, "Oh my God, why did you just say that?" You know, it's like, why don't you just go into the neighborhood and find something that you can do that's, you know, not socialist, not left wing, but there's public-private partnerships. There's all kinds of things. Build a mall. Get some of these people that are, wealthy in the Republican Party and convince them to put a good grocery store in this area or something of that nature. And all of a sudden, it's like, wow, they give a damn. You know, because we care.
Let's start more simplistic than that. How about this novel idea? Let's pick an arbitrary day in June, one Saturday, and every Republican state party across the country, with the cooperation of their Republican senator, congressman, city councilman, can you imagine if across the country on a given Saturday, we all just say we're going to have several block parties in every city where we got population of black. We're going to buy hot dog hamburgers, and we're just going to have a family-friendly event. And what we want to do is to hear from the people. We don't want to go into their community telling them what they need to do and what they need. No, we want to know, tell me what's on your mind. Tell me how we can use our majorityship in the state legislature, the city council, on the national level. Tell us how we can address the concerns you have. What a novel idea.
That sounds like a fantastic idea, and I would say go for it. I mean, I want to give you a short little anecdote here because I'm from northern Norway, and as you know, American troops come to northern Norway to practice winter warfare. And when I grew up, we were in awe of these strapping young Americans, you know, with their flashy uniforms, and they came here and, you know, they of course gave us candy, so they were extra popular. But, you know, it was a mix between Indian Americans, black Americans, white Americans. We thought of them as Americans. They were the Americans that came to our country, you know, to learn how to ski and such things. It wasn't until Obama I started thinking about Americans in white and black and colored, and you know, it is turned upside down. It has become so venomous. It's absolutely disgusting from my point of view. And your idea is brilliant. So I would say go ahead with it. And do you think it is feasible to start a campaign like that before 2020?
No, the reason why it won't happen in Norway is because it's too logical. It makes too much sense, and no one's ever accused conservatives of being logical and sensible.
I love this guy, man. You got to come back on the show.
Do I.
I'm being truthful with you guys, man.
Hey, this is what we do, and we've done it since the beginning of the program. We already know who the enemy of freedom is, and it's the left, and it's personified in the National Democrat Party. That being said, we focus a lot on the malfeasance of the Republican Party, and I'm thrilled that you are involved with the Republican Party. You ought to get into the RNC. Maybe you are already, I don't know. But this is something that we have the winning ticket. Let me ask you, what do you think about the rise of Candace Owens? I have to say, initially, I interviewed her several times, and initially I thought, maybe, this sounds good, but she's so young, but then, man, she came out this last 6 months and just lit it on fire and showed me a metal inside her that you're not going to push her around. And she's young. This is something that, by the way, I was talking about, now I forgot it again. Go ahead and respond to Candace Owens.
Yeah. Okay, in my best Jack Nicholson voice, do you want the truth?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Go ahead, man. Don't worry.
Let me tell you guys, I'm not one to bite my tongue and the whole back. Candace Owens is a buffoon. See, the best way to get attention as a black conservative in this town is to be a black liberal. Candace Owens testified before Congress last month about the censorship on social media, and she said 5 times, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat. So why the hell is she going to tell me anything about getting and engaging black Republicans and conservatives in the movement? She was a never-Trumper as recently as 2 years ago. Some of the stuff she wrote about Trump is so vile. And let's be very candid with you guys. Candace Owens is more of a draw to white folks, just like Diamond and Silk, who are a minstrel show. They're an embarrassment to blacks, but white folks like being entertained by blacks, and that's counterproductive to what I'm trying to do. Candace Owens needs to shut the hell up, open up some books, read history, and then come back out and sit and talk with folks who've been around in this movement before she is, because I was through with her when a couple months ago she said on CNN that LeBron James was ignorant. Now, you could say a lot of things about LeBron James, but ignorant is not one of them.
Right.
And so she says these incendiary things to ingratiate herself with white folks, and you take her to a white audience, she'll pack a room, but you take her to the black community, you couldn't pay any blacks to show up for her.
I'm so glad.
I tell folks at the party that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Hutch.
I'm so glad that you said that, because the reason that I asked you the question was because I've been a co-host on a black radio station, a black radio show, and I've had black co-hosts on this show, and to a man, they all said just about what you said. So I'm going to take that as coming from your perspective, and your perspective is more important than mine when it comes to the black community. So that's 2 prominent hosts that told me the same thing that you just said, and I was with them.
Yeah, I was down
because
in West Palm Beach last week meeting with some major donors in the party and the conservative movement, and they asked me a similar question. They were stunned not only by how blunt and honest I was, but they said, well, I never thought about it from that perspective. And the reason this is problematic, Hutch, in Norway, is so often white folks want to look at people like me. And I'm going to tell you something that's going to shock you guys. I've been black most of my life.
I'm shocked. I am shocked, man. Yeah, I can't.
I know.
We might have to take a break.
And too often, guys, white Republicans and white conservatives want to tell people like me and want to tell the black community who should resonate with them and who they should promote. And isn't it amazing that I've been in this party for 30 years. I was brought in by Bush, the father, Bush 41, and I get offered to speak all over the world, but I have never been invited one time by the RNC to give a speech anywhere. Now, isn't it amazing? Like the Bible says, the prophet has no honor in his own country.
Well, look at the RNC. The RNC's pinnacle in race relations was Michael Steele. You know, I mean, you talk about a guy that horrible guy, in my opinion, and I'm not going to step down from that either. But your analysis is good, and I have to say that initially I went along with these guys, and they had the same opinion of Candace as you do. But I saw that. See, when I saw the congressional hearing, I was impressed. Just because she gave
because you got caught up in the theatrics. Did you hear her say in her opening testimony 5 times that I'm a Democrat?
I did not. I was selectively listening. No, I believe you. I was listening. I was listening to the Hollywood sound clips, my man.
Yeah. And let me tell you, nowhere another thing, and you probably won't hear anyone else ever say what I'm about to say. You remember Stacey Dash after she was the Candace on before Candace on.
Interviewed her too.
Okay, let me tell you what I told Stacey Dash, and this is why she won't speak to me to say, I don't know Candace Owens personally. I've never met her, but I sent word back through some of her contacts, and she never picked up the phone and called me, or she wouldn't be in the mess she's in today. But I told Stacey Dash, I said, Stacey, you're very attractive. You speak well, but let's be very candid, because I said, I've seen women like you come and go in this party. If you didn't have those twins on your chest, nobody would give a damn about you. Same thing with Candace Owens. She's every white
but hold on.
Come true.
Hold on, no. Let's be serious now. There's no twins on that chest.
Okay, midgets then. Okay, you're bad. You're bad. Okay.
Hey, I did interview her. I sat right across her. I'm just saying. But go ahead, Norway.
Right. Yeah, but my point being, if she wasn't an attractive female, Candace is an attractive female, that's what that was all about. And she's easy on the eye. She can string together coherent English sentences, but she had no substance to her, just like Stacey Dash has no substance to her. And I'm going to be very candid again with you guys. White conservatives surround themselves with blacks that make them feel good and they're comfortable with, versus blacks like me who know what the hell they're doing.
I'd rather hang out with guys like you. But go ahead, Norway.
Yeah, I find this really fascinating, and
I knew you would.
That brings, well, the twin talk is one thing, but actually the meat and potato of it all, which brings me to my next question. Your strategy is targeting entrepreneurs, black entrepreneurs, because they are the leaders of your communities. Can you explain to the audience what your thinking behind this is?
Very easy. If you get the black entrepreneur on your side, guess what? He will go to his city council. He will go to his school board. He will go to his congressman, U.S. and House of Representatives, and say, hey, I need you all to do more to advocate for school choice and vouchers. And you know why? Because my business is growing, and the people I need to hire right now, they can't read and write and do arithmetic. So I got a vested interest in our school system producing students who know how to read, write, and have people skills. Then he says, I also have a vested interest in the crime rate, because when my employees drive up to my office to come into work, I cannot afford to have them assaulted, mugged, and robbed from the car on their way to the office building. So we have to make sure crime is not an issue. Now, also, I provide a lot of benefits to my employees. I can't have my insurance company charging me higher premium because of my zip code, because I'm providing jobs for inner city workers. I need you all to make sure that I'm getting a fair shake on my insurance premiums for my business. So I need lower taxes. I need you to allow me to accelerate my appreciation on my taxes, so I can buy new equipment and write it all off in the first year versus amortizing it over 20 and 30 years. So when you get the entrepreneur on your side, he brings you all the other issues, from welfare reform, education reform, crime, and marriage, abortion, because if all these black folks are getting abortion for their kids when they get pregnant, who is he going to hire if his businesses continue to grow? So through the businessman alone, That is the gateway into the black community on all the issues that impact the black community.
Amen. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? This is a man that knows what he's talking about and knows what he's doing. That is sheer genius. And if I may round off with a quick question, if you should look into the crystal ball, do you think your efforts and people like you, do you think you will move the needle significantly in the 2020 election?
Yes, all we need to do, we average 9% of the black vote in the presidential election. That's with doing nothing. Romney got 6% in 2012. Trump got 8%. So all we need to do is get Trump from 8% to 15%. And mathematically, a Democrat cannot win a presidential election and the Republican get at least 15%. So it's a mathematical impossibility. So moving the needle for 7 points for Trump is very doable if he gets serious about the black community, if he starts surrounding himself with real blacks who have credibility in the black community, and then they help put together an effective communication strategy. Yes, Trump has enough of a good story to tell the black community. They are just incompetent in the communication of what those success stories are.
No, you're right. And the pastor I was talking about out of Cleveland was Pastor Darrell Scott.
Darrell Scott, yeah, I know Darrell.
Yeah, he's no nonsense, and he's not a minstrel or anything like that. He's a real dude. But I wonder what do you think about? To me, from the living in the inner city, I see what's going on. You see what's going on. Do you have any emphasis on some kind of incentive or initiative to get the black man back in charge of the black family? And when I say that, I mean 75% of inner city black children are born into families with no father. That's a suicide pact, my man.
Yep. Tell you an interesting story. I do a lot of work in Africa, and I would think I was in South Sudan. And I mean, when I say I was in the bush, I'm talking about deep, deep bush where Manu Bol grew up, played the NBA. No, not that type of bush, you perverts.
No. I know we're talking elephants, man.
And I'm going there too. And so we came across these villagers, and we started talking with them, and they had all these rifles lined up. We're like, what the hell are you guys doing? They're saying, we're going to go out and shoot these elephants because they've been destroying their animals and crops and even killed a few people. We said, why are you doing this? And they said, well, they can't keep destroying our crop. As fate would have it, the next day you had a bunch of veterinarians who were coming through on some other business, and we talked with them, and they say, oh, before you kill them, no, we got to figure this out. Long story short, found out that the bull elephant had been killed by some poachers, and so all these young male bulls didn't have any male who could train them. And so when you take the father figure from the pack of elephants, the juveniles go crazy. So what they decided to do, they imported another bull elephant from another tribe, brought him in, and he restored stability and order, and they didn't have a problem again. So the same with Americans and humans. When you take the male figure from the house, you get what we got today within not only the black community, white community as well.
You're right, 1,000%.
The male. Yeah, and so here's what we need to do, guys. As opposed to giving welfare to these little young girls, 12, 13, 14, who get pregnant, shouldn't we give tax credits to anybody at the age of 18 and beyond? Give them a tax credit at 18 and say, if you get married, we will give you a 20 or 30% tax credit, and the longer you stay married, the bigger that credit gets, up to 30 or 40%, to give the incentive for you. Because I told a group of students 2 weeks ago, I can guarantee if you do this, that you will not end up in poverty. How many of you want to know what that is? Everybody raised their hand, and here's what I told them. If you graduate from high school, you get married, and then have babies, you are almost statistically guaranteed never to be in poverty.
You know, that is a solid statistical fact that I've been saying for a long time. Mr. Raynard Jackson, I want to thank you. Did I say that right?
Yo, Raynard.
Raynard Jackson, I want to thank you for coming on Cold War Radio, and I really hope we can get you back in here. You know what's happening, and I'll tell you, if you have any promotional audio clips or anything like that I could play for my audience, I would surely do that. Mona knows how to get in touch with me. Your people know how to get in touch with Mona.
Okay.
Man, I think that what you're doing is probably one of the most important things, especially if there's a tenant involved with keeping the family together, that would change the whole game. Because what the Democrat Party is doing now is they're noticing that people are fleeing from the Democrat Party because of some of the things that the president is doing economically and in the penal system and elsewhere, that they know that it's good for themselves. We need to keep this going, and I'm all the way with you. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Norway?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Raynard Jackson. It's been enlightening, and I think that your strategy of dealing with the entrepreneurs and strengthening the family bonds, that is a winning formula. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. Have me on anytime.
Excellent. Before you leave, tell the audience how they can help. Where can they get in touch with you and all that stuff?
Yeah, we're doing a major economic summit next month here in D.C., so if they want to contribute, number one, that would be great. They can find out all about it on our website, BAFBF.org, Black Americans for a Better Future.org, or just Google my name, Raynard Jackson, and the PAC's website, my Twitter, my Facebook, all that will pop up. And any help your audience wants to help us with would be greatly appreciated, because we're going to do something next month that has never happened before. This is the largest gathering of conservative minority entrepreneurs in the country.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. Raynard Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Cold War Radio. I'll tell you what, man, that was a great thing. And because of where we are in the show, we are going to move right in to the weekly Jihad Report. 37 jihad attacks, 162 killed, 98 injured, 3 suicide blasts, all occurring in 9 countries. The religion of peace atrocity of the week, Mozambique. A priest serving the blind is hacked to death. Some of the latest misunderstandings of Islam on the 24th in Afghanistan. 2 worshippers at a mosque are blown to bits by religion of peace rivals. On the 22nd, in Keith Ellison, Somalia, 9 people are blown to bits by a suicide car bomber. On the 21st, in Afghanistan, 2 women and a child are among a family of 4 sent to Allah by Taliban shrapnel. On the 20th, in Iraq, 4 farmers are sent to Allah by religion of peace bombers. On the 20th, a new state, Tajikistan, incarcerated ISIS inmates stabbed 3 guards and 5 prisoners to death. Here's a first. On the 19th, in France, a man stabs 2 passerby while shouting praises to Allah. It's the holidays, Norway. The Ramadan Bombathon 2019, day 19, 103 terror attacks in the name of Islam. 498 killed. All other religions combined, 0. Attacks, 0 kills. 1 kill by right-wing or anti-Muslim extremists. From Minuwangoda. Damn, I did that good. Minuwangoda, Sri Lanka. Parts of Sri Lanka were under indefinite curfew on Tuesday, May 14th. That's a while ago. And social media banned after a man was killed by a sword-wielding mob in an escalating anti-Muslim backlash following the Easter terror attacks. Violence broke out late Monday, 3 weeks after Islamist extremist bombings killed 258 people, with mobs carrying out arson attacks, including one involving around 2,000 people who vandalized a mosque, witnesses said. The religion of peace, ladies and gentlemen. And it looks like people are starting to wake up and fight back, one body at a time.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
Wow, I mean, I had to run that segment because it's one of those things, Norway, that, you know, we've never not run it. So I had to do that. I know it was, I would have rather talked about the interview, but what did you think?
Well,
the interview.
I think the interview was, the interview was absolutely fantastic. And boy, this guy, he's got his head screwed right on. Mr. Raynard Jackson of the Black Americans for a Better Future. Absolutely brilliant strategy, and I think that is the way forward. I believe that is the way to win over the black population to the right side.
And we have our own ideas, as was demonstrated during the interview, me and you, and I think this is a learning point for us as white people to, let's listen to this guy. You know what I mean? This is not what the black community is looking for, what we've seen in conservative media. And I have to say, I had high hopes for Candace and Diamond and Silk. I think that they are an entertainment thing, and I've interviewed both of them more than once. And I think maybe it's time that we, in the conservative movement, people that are, white or not black, let me put it that way, it's more, makes more sense. But I think that his plan about going into the community and shutting up, asking the community, what do you want, is brilliant. And I think that's something that, all right, let's stop with all, you people are just on the plantation. If you're on the plantation, you don't want to hear that, in my opinion. And James Chief told me that.
Yeah, well, I'm not right there where I want to give up on Candace Owens, because I've seen the progression of interviews from her very beginning until today, and she's developed enormously. I mean, you see her in debates, the answers she gives.
But like the guy said, like the guy said,
but yeah,
the audience is white.
Yeah, the audience is white. But when I'm listening to the political arguments, I'm not ready to give up on her yet. But
no, I'm not either.
And this goes for Diamond and Silk as well. They were very prominent the last election, 2018, the 2018 election. They were prominent in the 2016
With who?
election as well.
With who?
Yeah, but the problem is that you didn't see any shift in black vote.
Exactly.
And if they are as influential as some people in the Republican Party gives us the impression they are, they should have moved masses, but they don't.
And they're not. That's exactly right.
What I'm saying is that I don't want to discount them, but I don't want to give them the total monopoly on how to do this. I think actually the way Raynard Jackson here is working is much more effective because America is a market economy, and when you start empowering the businessmen in these areas, in these impoverished areas, the black businessmen, when you start empowering them, giving them what they need to build a good business, well, there is no end to what the black communities.
No, I agree. I agree. And you know, Candace Owens and Diamond and Silk, they're great people. All of them are. But they're not resonating in the black community. And no matter how many conservative people that are not black like them, it's not going to move the needle, as you just pointed out.
No.
You know, and that's
I think that Candace Owens, what she is doing in American colleges is helpful because she's meeting a lot of white radicals, and she is really nailing them to the wall with their stereotypes of how bad it is to be black. You know, the whole what do you call it? You know, the whole victimhood mentality.
The racism
she's
thing,
really destroying them. Yeah. So I think she has a stemming effect on the Marxist tide in the colleges, but it's not going to move the needle in the next election. But
not with black people. I mean, if you look at the audience,
exactly.
There's almost no blacks in the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, this is the problem.
But she's shutting the Marxists in colleges up, and I think that deserves some credit.
Right. Let me be clear right now on the show for all you people that are listening that are pissed off at me, because I know there's some of you out there. I love Candace Owens. I think she's brave, courageous, articulate. I interviewed her. I liked her. She's a good person. Same with Diamond and Silk. I've interviewed them. They're both great people. They both are trying to do the right thing, but their words simply don't resonate that much with the black community, and that is the objective. We have to get more black Americans to vote with their brains and not with their tradition. You know,
and I think entrepreneurs, which Raynard Jackson says, he says that they are the leaders of our community, which they are.
Yes.
You know, the leaders are not Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton.
No.
The leaders are the entrepreneurs.
Job
and
creators.
If they feel that. Exactly, and if they feel that, the Republican Party is really helping us here, we're getting what we want. We get security for our employees, and our business have a chance to grow. You know, that is money talks. And,
absolutely, no question.
Capitalism isn't dead in America yet.
And that's what Daryl Scott was telling me out of Cleveland. It's like we don't want to hear statistics and unemployment. We want to see a Walmart in our neighborhood. You know, the black community is about pictures, about videos. Show me a video of a Walmart going up or a Aldi's or something that's going to benefit us, that our people can go and be engaged in commerce where you're not ripping us off. And I think that's brilliant, too. We got to shift gears in the interest of time. Please talk to us, Norway, about the Advanced Placement U.S. History textbook that just came out. History B was a big factor in this story coming to the program.
Yeah, our editor of the education desk, History Bee, which I have to make a note here. I mean, History Bee's video channel is absolutely, I mean, it's taken off and it's absolutely fantastic. And she can probably explain this better than I can, but she has.
She can call if she wants. She can call. I mean, it's 412-206-6208.
Call us, History Bee. I know she's got some great developments because people are starting to notice her brilliant additions on her video channel. She brought this she brought this story a few days back, and it resonated with me immediately. It is from thefederalist.com, titled New AP, which is Advanced Placement. New AP U.S. history textbooks implies Christians are bigots, Reagan a racist, and it's by Joy Pullman, the editor, if I'm not too badly mistaken. And there are numerous pictures from a new textbook that is coming up, and it is the stuff of nightmare, absolutely horrifying. When I saw this. And you know, the authors or author of this book is quoting people, so they keep their part in the clear. But make no mistake about this: this is indoctrination of the youngest in America, and it is horrifying. And I think we have History Bee on the line now. Is that right?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Hey, History Bee.
Hi,
you are...
Norway.
Hi.
Hi. It's so
hello.
good to hear you guys.
Congratulations on your immense success on your YouTube channel. It is, I mean, it really warms my heart because you deserve it, and you are such a good communicator. We are really blessed to have you in our team.
Well, thank you. I don't deserve all those kind words. You guys are the experts. I just have a little YouTube channel.
No, you're our education desk editor now. That's a good title.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, this book is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. These liberals have no line that they won't cross. But, you know that guy Adolf Hitler, right? So he said, let me control the textbooks and I will control the state. So he was evil, but he knew the truth right there. And it's going to be our downfall if we don't start changing things. So we have to demand change. We've got to straighten things out. We got to demand it of our representatives. We got to get loud.
So you believe that people? I mean, is this? Do you need to have a child in school in order to act on this, or do you think it's something that every American should care about?
Oh, we have to all care about that, about this. And something that I read, picked up somewhere, I don't know who to give the credit to this, but it was written somewhere, and I wrote it down. At the heart of a culture is families. At the heart of a family is children. As the kids go, so goes our nation. So if we're worried about the nation, we need to start worrying about our kids. And we can't just worry. We have to do something. There is an all-out war against our children from the womb until they're 25 years old. If they can't kill them in the womb, then they're going to steal them, as Hutch you had mentioned earlier. They're going to steal them right out from underneath us. They're trying to take our parental rights away. They are totally brainwashing us. We all know that, right? It's social engineering in our schools anymore. It's not about ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. And the book that you mentioned, can I give just a few, just a tiny little bit of
absolutely.
The book
please,
is saying?
So please tell everybody about your plan.
Right. Oh, my plan. The Rush.
Yes.
The Rush Revere.
Well, go ahead. Continue your thought. We got a couple minutes left. Go ahead.
All right.
Do both.
Okay. So in the forthcoming 2019 edition, that's going to be out in 2020 in AP history classes. And mind you, there are only 4% of history professors that are Republicans. So we know they're all a bunch of socialists. Anyway, so in this book, as they go over and describe the Black Lives Matter movement after Ferguson, then it says, this is the quote from the book, the nearly all-white police force was seen as an occupying army in a mostly African-American town. And then in another section that is describing President Trump's cabinet, the book says, quote, they were largely white males, more so than any cabinet since Ronald Reagan. And then in another portion of the book where they're discussing the nation's policies after 2012, it says, quote, those who had long thought of the nation as a white and Christian country sometimes found it difficult to adjust to secularization and an increase in people of other races. And later on, it describes Trump's as a not very hidden, Trump's administration as a not very hidden racism. So it's awful. It's nothing. It's overt political propaganda is what it is, and it's being scooped into the most capable students' minds under the guise of education. We have to stop this. We have to make our representatives. You know, we've been voting. I've been voting Republican ever since I could vote. You know, we've been trying to put the right people in end abortion, change things. And finally, we have a president, Donald Trump, who's actually getting the job done. But we have these congressmen and these senators that they're not doing anything. We need to make it matter. I don't know how.
I do. Let me
tell me.
Let me intervene here a little bit. You know, ladies and gentlemen, especially those of you who have young children in school right now, but that's not going to let the grandparents off the hook. If you allow the government to be the sole people that educate your children, you're the problem.
Yes.
You are the problem. Every one of us, I'm 57 years old, and I would say everybody from 45, no, that's too young, man. You know, you have to get in there and explain to these kids that this is the best country in the world.
Yes.
Bar none. And if you don't do that, they are going to tell. And I mean, you have to ask them. I had to do this with my own kids. You know, you have to talk to them.
And it's work. It takes a lot of work.
But it works. It works, though. It works. Even though you don't think they're listening, they are listening.
They are.
They are listening to every word you say.
Yes.
So choose them correctly. Go ahead.
Yes. And we really need to make certain that our representatives know that we want school choice. The problem is they have a monopoly. There's no competition. And if we, you know, it's just common sense business. Here we have a business-minded president. He can get the job done, but we need to get him representatives like DeSantis who kicked Common Core to the curb in Florida. We need to get more of those guys into office. We need to literally gut our educational system and start all over from scratch. There needs to be school choice. Because majority of parents don't. And the perversion in California, in the new curriculum coming in California, I can't even say it's pornography. It's crap that they're teaching these little kids, these 5-year-olds. They're showing them awful things. And you know, they're asking, and it's not even at schools. They go to the doctors. I had a friend who took her little daughter to the pediatrician, and he wanted to talk to her alone and asked her, and afterwards mom asked, what did you talk about? And well, here it turns out the doctor was asking, do you have any
guns in the house? You have any guns in the house? Yeah.
I can't. It's awful. It's awful. So the average American parent does not want this crap put into their children's minds.
Let me ask you a question. History, we're running out of time here. Let me ask you. No, it's okay. It's okay. Let me ask you. I miss you on the show now. You need to come back. But anyway,
I miss you.
But let me ask you. You know, now you have a situation where I was a government employee my entire life. All right. Well, not my entire life, but a lot of my life, and I never back down. You can hear broadcasts from me when I was a Chief Warrant Officer 4, promotable to CW5, where I talked my mind. You know, what are we going to do about people that are in your situation and my son's situation? He's a firefighter, conservative as hell, but he had to go be a public relations spokesman for Joe Biden just to keep his job. I mean, what are we going to do with all these people? The federal government and the state and local governments have done their damnedest to make sure they employ as many people as possible to get them scared that you're going to lose your money if you say the wrong thing. What do we do about that?
Wow. Well, I don't know. I thought
you know what I mean,
don't have the answer.
But you know what I mean.
This is awful.
But you're a warrior.
Well,
I believe.
I think
Yeah, well, sorry to interrupt here, but I believe that we actually need to line a few traitors up against the wall and shoot them
with a shotgun.
That's simple.
Make it graphic. They have tried to take over the United States of America. They've tried to oust a legally elected president of the United States of America, the most powerful nation on the planet.
And they're not done.
They're not done. And if you don't convict them according to the law, which carries a death penalty for such a serious action, you won't be taken serious. And the result of that is that this downward spiral, it may halt a little with President Trump, but when he is out, well, it's going to continue.
It is. History B, I want to thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
I hope
you guys are awesome. I love you guys so much.
We love you too.
You keep talking. Talking is important. Don't you stop.
No,
okay?
That's not going to happen. You too.
Bye.
You're on the front lines. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. All right, there's History B, our education desk, intermittent co-host, Norway. Final comments, and how can people get in touch with you? And what is that music in the background?
Final comment. My winner this week is President Trump and the American people declassifying the FISA warrant, and everything pertaining to it will be a major victory. My loser is the Nevada popular vote idiocy and Prime Minister Theresa May. That's my final comment. It's been a lovely show, Hutch. What a fantastic interview. I can't wait until Friday, because we're not on Monday, are we?
No, we're not. We're going to respect Memorial Day.
There you go. I am at Norway for Trump on Twitter, Gab, Facebook, Mevi, and now RD Elephant. I'll come back to that in our next show, talk a little bit more about RD Elephant. And what you're listening to in the background is Sønner av Norge, or as you would say in American English, Sons of Norway. The first and probably most patriotic song we got in Norway. God bless.
Thank you, Norway. Another great show. I agree with the interview. It was excellent. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. On all social media platforms, including RD Elephant. NRN News coming up next. New Right Network. Thanks for listening to Cold War Radio and WHBJ. Go to SteelCityResistance.com and become a Cold War Radio patron if you like what you're hearing. You can't bitch about the media and not support us, because we are the media's enemy. That's for sure. Thanks for sticking around. God bless.
God bless.
Let me just say a little programming. There's going to be no WHBJ or Cold War Radio until Tuesday. We're taking a couple days off, ladies and gentlemen. I love you. Man, I got to recreate. See ya. God bless.
Fritt tør av virke til Norges hel.
NRN coming up next. New Right Network. Then Richard O. Jones. And a true crime historian. No mercy for the swashbuckling scoundrel from the archives. Wrapping it up with college indoctrination and the Black Patriot Show. Catch you on Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.